Psychological test. A psychological test is a systematic way to assess various aspects of an individual's personality, cognitive abilities, or emotional functioning. These tests are standardized, meaning they are administered and scored in a consistent manner across different individuals, allowing for comparisons and objective evaluation. These tests include a range of verbal and non-verbal tasks which may involve answering questions, solving problems, or engaging in specific behaviors by analyzing the responses or behaviors. Psychologists can gain insight into traits such as intelligence, motivation, anxiety levels, and interpersonal skills. The objective nature of these tests helps to minimize bias and subjective interpretations, ensuring that the results are labeled and valid. Psychological tests can be used for various purposes, including clinical diagnosis, educational assessment, career counseling, and research. Overall, they serve as valuable tool for understanding the complexities of human behaviors and personality. Psychological test is a standardized instrument designed to measure objectively one or more aspects of a total personality by means of samples of verbal and non-verbal responses or by means of other behaviors. Types of psychological tests. Individual and group test. Individual test administered one-on-one, focusing on personal interaction between the examiner and the testee. These tests are often provide detailed insight into the individual's cognitive abilities or personality traits. Group test. Given to multiple individuals simultaneously, they are typically standardized and can access cognitive abilities, knowledge, or skills across a larger population. Efficiency. Speed and power test. Speed test measure how quickly a person can complete tasks, usually with an emphasis on time. They often have a time limit and access the speed of response rather than accuracy. Power test focus on the difficulty of the task rather than the time taken to complete them. These tests are designed to access the depth of knowledge or ability with no strict time constraints. Computer assisted test. These tests utilize computer technology for administration, scoring, and sometimes even interpretation. They can be interactive and adapt to the test taker's responses, often providing immediate feedback. Paper, pencil, and performance test. Paper, pencil test. Traditional test where responses are recorded on paper. They can include multiple choice questions, essays, or true or false formats. Performance test involves tasks that require the test taker to perform a specific activity, often assessing practical skills or abilities in real world scenarios. Examples include simulations or hands-on tasks. Each of these types serve different purpose and can be selected based on the objective of the assessment and the context in which it is being used. Types of psychological test: individual and group test, computer assisted test, speed and power test, paper, pencil, and performance test. Categories of test: intelligence test. Purpose: measures general cognitive abilities such as reasoning, problem solving, memory, and understanding. Example: IQ test. Example: Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, Stanford Binet. Aptitude test. Purpose: assess specific abilities or potential in particular areas such as logical reasoning, numerical ability, and spatial awareness. Example: SAT, GRE, GMAT, or Job Specific Aptitude Test. Next, interest test. Purpose: measure personal preferences and inclinations towards activities, subject, or careers. Example: strong interest inventory, career interest assessment. Attitude test evaluates opinion, feeling, or belief about certain topics, situations, or groups. Example: Likert scale survey, Thurston attitude scale. Personality test. Explore traits, characteristics, and behaviors to understand personality type or tendencies. Example: Mrs. Brigger's type indicator, MBTI, Big Five personality test, MM. Next, MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic personality inventory. Personality test. This definition is rooted in Gordon Allport's perspective on personality. Allport, a pioneering psychologist in personality studies, emphasized that personality is a dynamic and organized system of both psychological and physiological components. These systems influence an individual's behavior, thoughts, and emotions, shaping their unique ways of adapting to their environment. So, personality is the dynamic organization. Dynamic organization. Personality is not static. It evolves and adapts over time. Its complex interplay of traits, experiences, and biological factors. Next, psychophysical system. Psychophysical system. Personality includes both mental, psychological, and biological, physical aspects that interact to shape behavior. Unique adjustments. Everyone's personality is distinct, guiding how they adapt to and interact with their surroundings. This definition highlights the holistic and interactive nature of personality, linking mind, body, and behavior. Theories of personality. Psychoanalytical theory. Proposed by Sigmund Freud, this theory emphasizes the role of unconscious motives, conflicts, and early childhood experiences in shaping personality. Key components: instinctual drives and desires, pleasure principle; ego, rational part of personality, reality principle; superego, moral and ethical standards; defense mechanism, strategies like repression, denial, and projection to manage conflicts and anxiety. Later psychoanalysts such as Carl Jung, analytical psychology, and Alfred Adler, individual psychology, expanded on Freud's ideas with a focus on collective unconsciousness and social factors. Constitutional theory, developed by William Sheldon, this theory links personality traits to body types, somatotypes. Somatotypes: ectomorph, thin and fragile, introverted and intellectual; mesomorph, muscular and sturdy, bold, assertive and active; endomorph, round and soft, sociable, relaxed and indulgent. This theory criticized for oversimplification and lack of empirical support but contributed to early research on biological influences on personality. Trait theory. Trait theory. Trait theory focuses on identifying and measuring stable characteristics, traits that influence behavior. Gordon Allport distinguished between cardinal traits, dominant, central traits, general, secondary traits, situational. Raymond Cattell developed the 16 personality factors to describe human personality. Hence, Eysenck proposed three dimensions: extraversion, introversion, neuroticism, stability, and later added psychoticism. Five-factor model, Big Five, most widely accepted today, including openness, consciousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, OCEAN. Need theory, associated with Henry Murray and later Abraham Maslow. This theory emphasizes human motivation and the drive to fulfill needs. Murray's theory identifies Psychogenic needs such as achievement, affiliation and dominance, which shape behavior, developed the thematic appreciation test TAT to assess underlying motives. Maslow's hierarchy of needs organized needs in a pyramid: psychological, safety, loving or belongingness, esteem, and self actualization, suggests individuals are motivated to fulfill basic needs before progressing to higher level growth needs. Methods of personality measurement. Subjective methods. They rely on personal impression and qualitative data often interpreted by an evaluator. Interview. A conversation to gather detailed information about the person's background, thoughts, and feelings. Structured or unstructured. Case study. An in-depth analysis of an individual's personality over time using diverse data sources like interview observations and historical records. So the subjective methods are observation, interview, case study. Next, objective methods. These use standardized tests and tools to measure personality traits quantitatively. Inventories or questionnaires. Example: MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. Big 5 inventory include multiple choice or Likert scale questions for measurable responses. Rating scale. Observers rate the individual's behavior or personality traits using a predefined scale. Inventories or questionnaires. MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. Big 5 inventory. Situational tests. Next, projective methods. These methods assess personality by interpreting ambiguous stimuli based on the assumption that individuals project their conscious feeling. Association technique. Word association test. Respondents say the first word that comes to mind when given a stimulus word. Completion technique. Example: sentence completion test, story completion. Respondents finish an incomplete sentence or story revealing thoughts or feelings. Construction technique. Thematic appreciation test. Draw a person test. Individuals create stories or drawings based on prompts. Expression technique. Example: artwork, handwriting, or other forms of creative expression. Observation. Direct observation of an individual's behavior in natural or controlled setting. Situational test. Order. Observer's behavior is a simulated real life scenario to evaluate traits like leadership or decision making. Other techniques. Ordering techniques involves ranking or arranging item in order or of preference of importance to assess underlying personality traits. Completion technique. Example: sentence or story completion task where individuals fill in missing parts. Each of these methods has its strength and weakness, and psychologists often use multiple approaches for a comprehensive understanding of personality. For example, objective tests offer reliability and validity, while projective and subjective methods provide deeper insight into unconscious process. So, the objective tests offer reliability and validity, Projective and subjective method provide deeper insight into unconscious process.
Projective technique. Projective techniques are psychological assessment tools designed to uncover a person's unconscious thoughts, feelings, and desires. These techniques rely on ambiguous or vague stimuli such as images, words, or scenarios to elicit responses that reveal hidden aspects of personality and internal conflicts. The underlying assumption is that when faced with unclear or undefined material, individuals project their own thoughts, emotions, and motivations onto the stimuli. This process allows psychologists to infer deeper, often unconscious aspects of the individual's personality that might not be accessible through more structured or direct methods of assessment. So, it is a personality test designed to let a person respond to ambiguous stimuli, presumably revealing hidden emotions and internal conflicts. Examples of projective techniques: Rorschach Inkblot test. Participants describe what they see in a series of symmetrical ink blot patterns. Thematic appreciation test (TAT). Individuals are asked to create stories based on ambiguous pictures of persons in various situations. Word association test. The subject responds with the first word that comes to mind when present with a series of words. Sentence completion test. Participants completed open-ended sentences such as I feel happiness when dash. Draw a person test. Subjects draw a person and then drawing is analyzed for psychological types of projective techniques. Association technique. So, number one, the projective techniques are psychological assessment tools used to uncover underlying thoughts, feelings, and motivations that may not be accessible through direct questioning. So, the association techniques. These techniques involve presenting a stimulus and asking the respondent to state the first thing that comes to mind. Example, word association test, where a word is provided and the participant responds with the first word they think of. Purpose, to explore unconscious thoughts, attitudes, or emotions linked to the stimulus. Next, construction techniques. Participants are asked to create a story, scene, or concept based on a given stimulus. Example, thematic appreciation test (TAT), where individuals create a story about ambiguous pictures. The purpose is to reveal the deep-seated emotions, conflicts, and personality dynamics by interpreting how individuals construct scenarios. Next is completion techniques. Completion techniques. These techniques involve providing an incomplete stimulus and asking the participant to complete it. Example, sentence completion test, where participants finish a sentence like, I feel most happy when. Purpose, to gain insight into the participants' underlying thoughts and emotions by analyzing how they complete the prompts. Ordering techniques. These require participants to arrange or prioritize items based on their preferences or interpretations. Ordering technique. Example, rank exercises or arranging pictures in a sequence that makes sense to the individual. Purpose, to understand the individual's decision-making process, priorities, and perceived relationship between items. Ordering techniques ഇൻഡിവിജ്വലിൻ്റെ പ്രിഫറൻസ് റാങ്കിങ് എന്താണെന്ന് അറിയാനായിട്ട് സഹായിക്കും. നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഈസ് എക്സ്പ്രഷൻ ടെക്നിക്. This technique encourages participants to express themselves creatively, often through art, play, or role playing. Example, drawing test. Example, draw a person test or acting out scenarios in role playing exercise. Purpose, to access unconscious feelings, thought, and conflicts through creative or symbolic expressions. Projective test. Projective tests are psychological assessment tools that use ambiguous stimuli to elicit a response that reflect a person's underlying thoughts, feelings, desires, or personality traits. Number 1, Rorschach Inkblot test. The test consists of 10 Inkblot cards. Some is black and white and others in color. The individual is asked to describe what they see in the ink blots. The purpose is it is used to uncover unconscious thoughts, emotions, and conflicts. The responses provide insight into cognitive and emotional functioning. Application commonly used in clinical setting to assess personality structure and identify mental health conditions. Next, thematic appreciation test. The TAT involves presenting the subject with ambiguous pictures of people or social situations. The individual is asked to create a story about what is happening in the picture, including what led up to it, what is happening now, and what will happen next. Purpose designed to reveal the test taker's unconscious motives, concerns, and social relationships. Application often used to explore themes like achievement, power, and affiliation in personality. Next, children appreciation test. Description: a variation of the TAT designed specifically for children. The stimuli are pictures of animals or children in various situations. Purpose: helps assess personality traits, social dynamics, and emotional conflict in children. Application commonly used in child therapy and psychological evaluation. Word association test. Description: participants are presented with words, stimuli, and asked to respond with the first word that comes to mind. Purpose: used to uncover unconscious thoughts, fears, and associations. Application often used to assess cognitive process, emotional functioning, and areas of conflict. Next, mosaic test. The individual is given colored pieces or tiles to create a design or pattern. The purpose is analyze creativity, decision making, and emotional expression through non-verbal means. Application used in personality assessment and to gauge cognitive flexibility. Next, verbal test. This involves verbal stimuli like open-ended questions or incomplete sentence that participants are asked to complete. Purpose: evaluates thought process, personality traits, and emotional states through verbal expression. Application used in various psychological and educational settings. Draw man test. Description: participants are asked to draw a person, sometimes followed by drawing a person of the opposite sex or additional figures. The drawing are analyzed for details, proportions, and other elements. Purpose: used to assess developmental stages, personality traits, and emotional well-being. Application commonly used with children but also with adults for personality and cognitive assessment. Rorschach test. Rorschach test developed in 1921 by Hermann Rorschach. The Rorschach test, created in 1921 by Swiss psychiatrist Hermann Rorschach, is a projective psychological assessment designed to explore a person's personality, emotional functioning, and thought process. In this test, a series of 10 Inkblot images are shown to the subject, who is asked to describe what they see in each image. The responses are recorded and analyzed based on various psychological theories and interpretive framework. So it is a test, it is a psychological test in which subjects' perceptions of Inkblot are recorded and then analyzed using psychological interpretation. How it works: presentation of Inkblots. The subject is shown a series of symmetrical Inkblots, some in black, some in white, and others in color. Response: the subject describes what each Inkblot looks like to them without any right or wrong answers. Interpretation: psychologists analyze the responses based on factors like the content of the responses, example animals, people, objects, the focus on specific parts of the image or the whole, emotional tone, and creativity in the description. The purpose of this test is based on the principle of projection, where people project their subconscious thoughts, feelings, and personality traits onto ambiguous stimuli. By interpreting these responses, psychologists aim to gain insight into the subject. Emotional states. Example: anxiety, depression. Thought patterns, example, logical, disorganized. Personality characteristics, example, openness, defensiveness. Modern usage. The Rorschach test was widely used in the mid 20th century but has since become less common due to debates about its scientific validity and reliability. Some psychologists still use it as part of a broader assessment, particularly in clinical or forensic settings. Modern scoring systems like the Exner scoring system have been developed to standardize interpretations and improve reliability.
So total 10 cards, black and white 5, card number 14567, 2 color black and red 2, 2 and 3 black and red, multicolored 3, 8, 9, 10. One card at one time in same order. Write down each and every response.
Scoring method, location.
Location on which response is based. Number 1, response based on entire Inkblot, the all response W. This response reflects the individual's perception of the entire Inkblot. It indicates a holistic view and can suggest how a person integrates information or see the bigger picture. Number 2, large detail. Large detail. Response based on large portion of Inkblot. This response focuses on the significant portion of the Inkblot. It may reveal what the individual finds most prominent or striking, indicating their priorities or what captures their attention. D. Next, small details. Response based. This response is based on a small portion of the Inkblot. It can suggest a tendency to focus on minor details, which might reflect analytical thinking or a tendency to get caught up in specifics. Unusual details. This category captures responses based on unusual or atypical parts of the Inkblot. It may indicate creativity, unconventional thinking, or a unique perspective or situation. Next, white space. Yes, this response is derived from parts of the blank space in the ink blot. It can suggest how the individual relates the absence or emptiness, possibly indicating feeling of isolation or the ability to find meaning in space. Next, response based on small part of Inkblot, tiny detail, DD, similar to small detail but even more focused. This response can point to an extreme sensitivity to minute aspects of the environment, potentially reflecting meticulousness or obsessive tendencies. Next, edge detail, DE. This response based on the edges of the Inkblot. It may indicate how the individual interacts with boundaries, suggesting comfort or discomfort with limits and structure. Inside detail. Focusing on the inside portion of the inkblot, this response can reflect internal thoughts and feelings. It may indicate introspection or how one views their inner life. Rare details. Rare details. Number 9. 9. Rare details. This captures responses based on frequent or less obvious parts of the inkblot. It may suggest a unique perspective or experiences that are not commonly acknowledged. In using this system, practitioners can gain insights into an individual's psychological state, cognitive process, and emotional response. Each response can contribute to understanding personality traits, coping mechanism, and areas of focus in an individual's life. Scoring method, location, determinants. Form. Determinants, form. It refers to the three-dimensional aspect of an object, including its shape, structure, and volume. It can be geometric or organic. Shading involves the use of light and dark tones to create depth, dimension, and the illusion of three-dimensionality in two-dimensional works. Color refers to the use of hues, the values and intensities to evoke emotions, create contrast, or establish mood. It includes understanding concepts like harmony and complementary colors. Movement suggests the path the viewer's eye follows across the artwork, often guided by line, shades, or repetition. It creates a sense of action or flow. Perspective relates to technique used to represent spatial relationship and depth on a flat surface, such as linear perspective or atmospheric perspective. Texture, the surface quality of an object, whether actual physical texture or implied visual texture, which add tactile or visual interest. Scoring method, location, determinants, content. Human body refers to element directly related to the human form or physical anatomy. Example, head, arm, legs, organs like the heart or brain. Human division, HD, focuses on aspects of human life categorized by role, age, or societal function. Example, gender roles, child versus adult, professions like doctors or soldiers. Next, animal body pertains to physical aspects of animals or their anatomy. Example, wings, tails, fur, claws. Nature encompasses elements of the natural world. Example, rivers, mountains, clouds, sunlight. Next, geographical, GEO, related to landforms, regions, or geographical features. Example, continents, countries, deserts, oceans. Next, plants refers to flora and botanical elements. Example, tree, flowers, grass, alga. Next, abstract concept represents intangible ideas, emotions, or philosophies. Example, love, freedom, justice, time. Next, artistic includes representation of art, creativity, or aesthetic expression. Example, painting, sculptures, patterns, designs. Household refers to item or activities associated with domestic life. Example, furniture, cleaning tools, appliances, utensils. Next, anatomic focuses on the detailed internal structure of living beings. Example, skeleton system, muscular system, neutral pathways. This categorization is useful for organizing themes in visual arts, educational material, or classification system in databases and studies. Scoring method, location, determinants, content, originals, and populars. Card, response, reaction, location, determinants, content, original, popular responses. Thematic appreciation test. The thematic appreciation test is a projective psychological test designed to reveal a person's underlying motives, feeling, and attitudes by analyzing the stories they create in response to ambiguous images. So, the TAT was developed during the 1930s by the American psychologist Henry A. Murray and Christiana D. Morgan. It's created by it's created in the 1930s by Henry A. Murray and Christiana D. Morgan. Designed as a tool to understand personality, emotional functioning, and implicit motives. Structure. Total 31 cards, one black card used to elicit stories purely from the subject's imagination, 10 cards for boys tailored to themes more likely relevant to boys, 10 cards for girls tailored to themes more likely relevant to girls, 10 cards for both general themes suitable for all genders, 5 minutes for each card, total 2 hours. The participant is asked to construct a story based on the image presented. The story should include what is happening in the image, what led up to the event, what the character are feeling or thinking, what will next, what has led up to the event shown, what is happening at the moment, what the outcome of the story was. Objective: to uncover unconscious motives, conflict, and personality traits, often used in clinical settings, research, and sometimes career counseling. To craft a dramatic story based on pictures, need a specific image or description of the scene. This is the card for the thematic appreciation test. Children appreciation test. It was devised by Leopold Bellac in 1949. The children's appreciation test, designed by Leopold, is a projective psychological tool used primarily for assessing the personality traits and emotional functioning of children aged 3 to 10 years. This test employs a series of 10 pictures featuring animals, allowing children to project their thoughts and feelings onto the characters depicted in the images. So, what went in the story before and what will happen later. The cat is intended to measure the personality traits, attitudes, and psychodynamic process evident in pre-pubertal children. Before the event, in a small town, a group of children gathers for a special session with a psychologist who has a reputation for understanding kids in unique ways. The children, excited yet nervous, have heard whispers about the mysterious animal pictures that will reveal secrets about their personalities. Each children comes with their own background. Some are shy, introverted, while others are bold and boisterous. They carry the weight of their experience, friendship, family dynamics, and personal struggles, all of which have shaped their young minds. The moment as the session begins, the psychologists introduce the cat by the children's appreciation test by the first picture of a cat sitting in a sunbeam. The children are captivated, their imagination ignited one by one. They begin to weave intricate stories around the images, projecting their feelings and thoughts onto the animals. A girl might see the cat as a brave protector, reflecting her desire to be strong in the face of her parents' divorce. A boy might envision the cat as a lonely traveler, mirroring his feelings of isolation at school. So, the outcome of the story, as the session progresses, the psychologist carefully listen and notes the children's stories. Each narratives reveal deeper insight into their personalities, their fears, aspiration, and coping mechanism. By the end, the children feel a sense of relief and validation, having expressed themselves in a safe space. Uses of personality test in guidance and counseling. Personality tests are valuable tools in guidance and counseling as they provide insight into an individual's characteristics, strengths, and preferences. Personal guidance. In personal guidance, personality tests help individuals understand themselves better. They can identify traits such as introversion or extroversion, emotional stability, and interpersonal skills. By recognizing these aspects, individuals can make informed decisions about the personal relationships, coping strategies, and self improvement efforts. Counselors can use these insights to tailor their approaches, ensuring that the support provided aligns with the individual's personality, ultimately enhancing the personal growth and emotional well being. Vocational guidance. In occasional guidance, personality tests assist individuals in exploring career options that match their personality traits and preferences. For instance, someone with high creativity might be guided towards careers in the arts or design, while someone with strong analytical skills may be directed towards engineering or finance. These tests help in identifying suitable work environments and job roles, ultimately leading to increased job satisfaction and career success. Counselors utilize the result to help clients set realistic career goals and develop career plans that align with their strength. Educational guidance. In educational guidance, personality test can inform students about their learning styles, motivation levels, and areas of interest. Understanding these factors, allowing educators and counselors to recommend courses, extracurricular activities, and study techniques that suit the individual student. For example, a student with a preference for hands on learning may benefit from practical science lab or vocational training program, while another who excel in abstract thinking might thrive in theoretical subjects. This tailored approach can enhance academic performance and help students discover their passions within the educational framework.